Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. Have you ever been a speech contest judge? Or have you ever felt the wrong speaker wins the speech contest? Maybe yes, maybe no. But I want to point out that there are some clubs and having members vote for the best speaker and the best evaluator at every single meeting that they attend. So this is a skill that is practiced within other Toastmaster community, even though it's not in our club. But there's a fact that many people do not know how to properly judge a speech and only vote it based on their biased gut feelings. Because of that reason, my objective for this presentation this morning is to help you to understand the Toastmaster International ballot form that we use for voting. So on your table, there is two forms that I put down on the table that you can kind of take a peek at as I'm referring to it later in my presentation. You don't have to read it over it now, but I just want to let you know that's there. So why is it important to understand the judging criteria for all of us? It doesn't matter if you're a contestant or a judge. If you're a contestant, you want to know how you are going to be scored, right? And you want to understand the difference between humorous versus international speech contests. For this year, we are going to have a humorous and an international speech contest. And if you are a judge, basically all our club members who are not participating as a speaker, you are going to be serving as a judge for the club. And you have to be fair, accurate, and be a good listener. And what is more important is your job is to select the best speaker who will represent our club and bring glory to our Chamber Toastmaster Club by winning the speeches contest. So you have a very important job, and that's why we need to have our best judgment when we select the speaker who represent our club. Let's go backward. So here is the outline of my presentation, and I want to make this casual. If you guys have any question at any time about the criteria and anything, just feel free to raise your hand and ask a question. And I'll offer time to ask questions too. So the outline will go like this. We're going to talk about the quality of being a judge, and then we'll go over the ballot that's on your table, the criteria. And finally, I want to devote a little time on giving you guys some examples of the speeches, but I'm not going to have time to do the whole entire speech, so it's just going to be a little section of different speeches that I picked out. And then I just want to see what your thoughts is. I'll express my thoughts over it. So we can kind of have a little practice section. So let's start with the judge qualities. Being a judge, we're asking you to be accurate. So you must score your form accurately. And also be fair. So you have to stay away from the bias of like who's your friend, their affiliation, their age, whether their gender, what their race is, and especially the speech topic. Because a lot of us have our own opinions on things, and if people are giving a speech on something that against your belief or something that you have absolutely no interest in, you are supposed to still pay attention and do not score based on the topic that the speaker spoke on. And on the bottom part, I have some of the stuff that I listed to be aware of or stay away from as a judge. So the first one is speaking order. People tend to remember the first and the last speech better than the people in the middle, and your judging score should not be biasly, depend on what the order of the speaker is. Another big one is the reputation background. New member versus veteran. If a new member come in and give a contest speech, you should not just think, oh, that person just joined 3 months ago, versus somebody who's been here for 10 years, and then you're like, in your head, you're like, that person has been here for so long, that person is gonna do so much better, and just right away, you kind of like, oh, that person is a better representative of our club to speak. And so try to avoid that, and also education background. if somebody have a DTM versus somebody who doesn't have an education award or a level 1 of whatever pathway, then don't put that into a factor, as well as their club officer. If they're like a president of the club, stay away from all that. And another thing that most people do not even like pay attention to is the old speeches. It is okay to recycle old speeches for a contest. So if this is like a speech that I had given 2 years ago for a contest, you're supposed to treat it as the first time you hear it, and you are judging based on my performance on today at the time that I'm giving the speech, not yesterday and not the future. And lastly, the speech length. When the speaker speaks, your job is to judge the speech, not to be a timer. The speech length is the timer's job, and if there's a disqualification, the timer will let the Toastmaster know, and that is how it works. So you don't have to be like, oh my God, that speech is 10 minutes long, that person's gonna be disqualified anyway, so I'm not gonna even place that person at all. So that is some of the stuff that I want to inform you guys as the judge. Now, let's move forward into the judge ballot. So this is a small little screenshot of the paper that's in front of you. If you want to take a closer look, you can look at it now or later, that's fine. But basically, I kind of laid it out into how the scoring system works. The content is worth 50% of the speech. And the content consists of the speech development, which include the speech structure, how the speech grabs the audience attention in the beginning and end with a significant conclusion. It also shows that the speaker used support and evidence or examples to use to make the point. And then the effectiveness is 15% of that 50%, which is talk about how the speaker achieved speech purpose and did the audience recept to the speaker and how engaged the speakers are. The last 15% is speech value. Is the speaker's topic contribute to the listener's thinking? Is it meaningful? Is it teach a lesson to the speakers? So those are the main points that is from a speech contest form. And then the next one is delivery, that is worth 30%. It talks about the physical appearance of the speaker. How is the speaker's gesture doing? Is the speaker appear confident when it's in front of people talking? And of course, the voice is the vocal variety, the emphasis, and the volume, and how the speaker use words. So do not use any jargon that nobody can understand. Simple language helps. Finally, manner is the last 10% of the delivery section, and it's just enthusiasm, how they're showing interest in the audience, and how confident they are. And the last portion is the language is worth 20%. The appropriateness is basically the word choice and how descriptive the words are, how the speaker choose words that fit their theme and fit the topic that is speaking. The last one is correctness, which is worth 10%. It's the proper use of grammar and pronunciation of words. So you might already kind of see that the role of grammarian is very helpful. That's kind of built into these speeches. And appropriateness is like almost like the use of language and things like that. The vocal variety and all those things that might just talk about evaluation is really fit very well into this form. So those are the main things. And this is the international speech contest form. The humor speech contest form almost identical to this one. And I'll just point out what the difference is for the humorous one. Instead of 50% on the content, the humorous one has 55% on the content. And the only difference is it includes this audience response as worth 15%. And that is basically measure how funny the speaker was. Because a humor speech contest, you want to make sure that the audience get your jokes. If you make a joke and nobody understand it or nobody laugh, then it's not a humor speech, right? So, okay, thanks. So basically, that is how you get your points for that part. So, and otherwise, it's the same as international speech contest. Now, I want to reserve the majority of the time on giving you example on good speeches. and then we can kind of like learn how to not really evaluate the whole thing, but like just point out some of the stuff that you see. But before I go there, I think Mike have gave a very exceptional speech this morning, and we can use any suggestion. Like, what do you guys think that is, like, his introduction, was that great? Is his topic relevant to all of us?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone have anything that you have for Mike, that you thought, anything that's positive or something that you think you can improve on? Anything positive?
Don't steal from my evaluation.
Based on the phone, based on this content thing, you know, how about?
I have something. I liked how he brought in real world examples from Rick Lean, from Clint Calvert, because we did not have to it.
Okay,
Repurpose
we'll stay away from Greg's job for now. Thank you. No, don't worry. That's why I have examples instead of using that and stay away from that. All right. So let's see if I have enough time. Okay. So this is from Amy Warren. Her speech title is Helen of Toastmasters. And this is a normal club speech at the regular club meeting, not the contest speech. And I'm going to talk her introduction. Show of hand who he submitted an application form to join Toastmasters. Now, who he submitted that form under a fake name? Kelly, you sure you didn't submit it as Rick in your name? No? Nobody used a fake name? Fellow Toastmasters, Helen Blanchard was a woman who wasn't able to submit her application using her real name. That's her introduction. Was that attention grabbing? Are you really feel like intrigued by the topic, that it really appealed to every single audience, even the guests, right? Want to know why? Why? That is a long story for 7-minute speech, but for short, back in the old days, Toastmasters do not accept female members. And if you guys are interested, I have the link. I can send you guys the video. You can watch that. It was an excellent speech. The second example I have is from Alan Bentley, and his title is How to Choose a Spouse. And this is for humor speech contest. And I'm going to use the body. And just to give you guys some background, at first, he was talking about his father gave him a copy of Reader's Digest, which is with the article How to Choose a Car for choosing a spouse. And he says there are 5 rules of choosing a car. And here's what it is. 1, have a budget. Don't stand outside your budget. When you're choosing a spouse, don't choose someone you can't afford. 2, choose the type of car you want. A sport car, a family car, or a used working car. Do you want a sporty car with high maintenance? A family car with mortgage and children? Or a working spouse that has a job that supports themselves? 3, safety. With car, you may have a collision. With spouse, choose someone that is smarter than you. And I'm not going to go to the whole rest of the speech, but you can see how clever he is, how organized he is, and how he just delivered his message using a very clever way instead of just telling people. And people were laughing so hard, and I'm just imitating somebody. I'm not even him, and you guys are already laughing. So that's very cool. And I'm just going to go to the last one really quick, and I'll be done. So the last person is Gong Yang, and his speech is Fortune Cookie. He actually won 2nd place in the World Championship in the international speech contest. Some of you might have seen his speech. And the introduction of his speech was, Forrest Gump, life is like a box of fortune cookie. You never know what you're gonna get. And then he went on and talked about his life is like a box of fortune cookie full of bad advices. And then he went on and talked about his experience with a fortune teller. And I'm going to tell you the conclusion part of his speech. When I left the fortune teller that day, he gave me a fortune cookie. as I broke apart the fortune cookie, the message was blank. Best piece of advice I ever got. The answer for me and the answer for you is not with a fortune cookie or fortune teller. It's not in his hand or her hand or anybody else's hand. Trust yourself. The answer is in your hands. So I hope today's workshop is going to help you guys with your speech. Thank you and judge.
Thank you.